Well, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office has started presenting evidence to a grand jury about former President Donald Trump's alleged hush money payments to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Trump has denied any wrongdoing. That's according to reports from multiple outlets, including the New York Times. So senior writer for the Times, William Rashbaum, was one of the journalists who broke this story, and he's joining us now to talk about this. So we need to remind people, because when I saw that we were talking about this, it was just sort of a general term written down on our list of topics, and I didn't know which one. I'm like, which investigation? Because there's so much going on. So we have to go back in time here. For those of us who don't recall what this is all about, give us some background.
Well, the Manhattan DA's office has been investigating the former president since about August of 2018. The investigation was held in abeyance at the request of federal authorities who were looking at some of the same issues, but it began focused on a hush money payment that Mr. Trump had made to a pornographic film actress, Stormy Daniels. And the investigation also later looked at the business practices at the Trump organization and whether they inflated their assets, and has now returned back to the hush money payment. And a grand jury started hearing evidence in connection with that inquiry yesterday.
And, you know, viewers may remember you had the Stormy Daniels incident, Michael Cohen, who was candidate Trump's like firebrand defender at the time,
fixer,
going on all the shows defending him. And he's now flipped. He's now acknowledged this took place. And this move by the Manhattan DA actually lays the groundwork for what could be criminal charges against the former president, who just announced he's running again. So what are the odds that we will see charges filed, do you believe, considering the characters that we've just laid out?
Well, I stopped trying to predict things like that a long time ago. You know, the presentation of evidence to a grand jury is obviously a necessary step before the prosecutors can ask the grand jury to bring charges, to vote an indictment. There was a grand jury presentation that had begun in connection with inflated valuations of Mr. Trump's assets at the end of last year, at the end of 21 and the beginning of 22. That did not result in charges because the DA felt there wasn't sufficient evidence to go forward. So the presentation evidence has just started to come into the grand jury, and I'm sure it will take some time, weeks if not months, for all the evidence to be presented. So I think we're just going to have to wait and see.
So amongst perhaps the more interesting cast of characters involved in this is the former publisher of the National Enquirer, David Pecker, longtime friend of Donald Trump, an ally, and kind of served as a little bit of a middleman. It was learning about this where I understood what the phrase catch and kill meant.
Right,
because I never really heard it before. So he was seen entering the building where the grand jury is sitting. Can you talk about his role in this case and sort of the significance of his presence?
Well, you know, I think Mr. Pecker and a couple of other witnesses, one, Dylan Howard, who was the editor of the National Enquirer at the time, and a few other people who were involved in some communications, some back and forth in the days and weeks before the hush money payment. They likely will be telling the grand jury what happened in those days, the sort of arc of the story of how the hush money payment came to be made by Mr. Trump.
Okay.
And, you know, there are other cases, to Anne-Marie's confusion at the top, that have been connected to Trump that we've previously seen, whether it was the Trump Organization being found guilty of criminal tax fraud. We understand there may be some interest here in looking at investment fraud. it seems as though the threads of separate investigations may come together in this case. How then do you think, I know you're out of the business of predictions, but how might this impact Donald Trump's attempt to get votes to be president again, considering he does have these entanglements?
I think that, Mr. Trump has been under investigation on and off for a long time. He's managed to, at times, even leverage being under criminal investigation or congressional investigation to his benefit. I'm not a political reporter, but I think that people who are supporters of his, likely won't be convinced to take a different position by an ongoing investigation, and people who are critics of his aren't going to change their minds either. So yeah, it's hard to say.
There has always been some type of legal cloud around Donald Trump.
Certainly
if you're
way.
a diehard supporter, it may make no difference. William Rashbaum of the New York Times, thank you very much.
Thank you.